Hello and welcome to Warblog. So I'm going to have another crack at the this Venezuelan campaign because I made some adjustments, and so I'm going to not do as much talking and just get straight into it and see what happens. So we should find that the protesters move first, and we should find there's a few more protesters, and we're going to protest. Now here, I'm not sure I want to go for San Cristobal. Whilst I was waiting for the videos to upload, there's quite a few sort of protests going on in other places outside of these cities, so I'm quite happy to do this. But Caracus is an important one, and so we're going to go for that. So this should be 5 versus 2, but they'll be in the city, so probably a 1 to 2, I guess. Look at that, 1 to 2. And I could have got them out of there. So that's the sort of protests that are around the Caracas area going on. Here, well, I think I'm going to try and protest into there with another exchange. So we're going to protest here and try and take this out and this, and here is a another reasonable option, maybe a 1 to 1. Yep. Oh, look at that! So they essentially moved into Barquisimeto. I'm sure the police will get back in there, but they're now protesting with their flags and violin players and whatever. We've done that. So that's the first sort of round of the game. So what happens next? So the police now, the same situation we had before. Do we sort of stay in San Cristobal? Because it's a town, we'd probably like to maintain that, or do we move out and start trying to remove these protesters, etc., etc. I think getting these protesters out of there might be useful. But we've got a lot of protesters around here, and there aren't actually that many police units. The police units are quite strong, but so for example in Caracas I think we've got to stay there. But I think we've got some reasonable options for striking out. Now if we move out of there, that leaves it vulnerable to being moved into, but are they actually going to do that? Let's see what one police unit can do against the stack, because they should defend at 0.1, so they're going to defend at 0.45, so it should be a 2 to 1, but they might be in jungle. So it's 2 to 1, but that was an exchange, so we could have done with the other unit, but I just wanted to sort of test that. Let's see what these 2 units can do against this stack of protesters in there. 1 to 1 and an exchange. So it's a bit odd. It's not to be confused with the sort of similar level of combat. So you've got to think of it a little more esoterically, I think. But I think it gives a good idea as to sort of the chaos of what's going on. Now, I think we might as well try against this guy. We should be able to possibly get a defender eliminated because he's on his own. 4 to 1 and exchange with a bad die roll, so that could have been better. And here, let's see what we can do against these protesters here. Ah, look at that, they got some, they dispersed these protesters well. Speedy dispatch. We're going to stay there because I want to keep that and that. And let's move on to the next turn. So as you can see, we've got more protesters now. Or more police at least. So I think this guy really wants to sort of move into there. And we're going to try and take out Coro. We're already protesting in there, rioting, stealing training shoes. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, so we can move into there. One minute. Okay. So we're really not attacking anything, but I think we might as well try and get into here. One to one. No. Okay, so let's just see what happens now. Okay, so you can see we've captured El Tigre. So we've now essentially, as well as Maracay and Coro. So this is sort of it's peculiar really, because obviously they haven't captured it in the sort of military sense, but essentially they basically done whatever for protesting they need in there, and to be quite honest, it doesn't make any sense really, but it makes enough sense for it to be sort of like, hang on, the police have now got to do something, because they can't just let these places all fall into the protesters' hands. So, we don't know what they're doing there, whatever they do at their worst, but they've now taken control of these places in the sense that the police have lost control of them and the government's lost control of them in the context of a civil war of this sort of nature. So that's sort of what we're assuming is going on. So there are things that can be done. Now, in reality, the main bulk of the protests and the riots are being held in places like Caracus and Puerto La Cruz and San Cristobal in particular, Valencia City. But they're not just protesting. I mean, if you look at some of these reports, they're putting they're barricading streets with earthworks and vehicles and burning things. It's pretty severe. So what's happening here isn't necessarily not so much unrealistic, but it sort of fits in with the severity of things. But it's now the Venezuelan government turn. I think we're going. Oh, we've got this guy here now, so I think we don't want to leave that empty. They've just lost that. We want to protect both of these, but I think we can maybe get a DE against these guys. At least try and get rid of these protesters. Now that's a DR, so they've been pushed back into Colombia probably. Yep. Now he's still going to stay there to protect San Cristobal. What's he doing? Nothing. So perhaps he wants to go and try and remove these units from here. So he should be at, well, quite good odds. DR, yep. So that allows the police unit to move into Barinas, or not, because it doesn't have enough movement to move into Barinas, and then to sort of possibly restore order there, although it could have been better off trying to restore order over here. So essentially we've got these police units now, and because of the number of protesters all across the country, and I would say that these are sort of not just police, these are not so much, I don't want to say they are riot police because they're not military police, but these are sort of possibly the police units that are there to deal with the disorder, as opposed to PC Plod who comes out and gets the cat when it goes up the tree or something like that. These are not just regular normal police, because there are police everywhere. So essentially what they're doing here, they're contending with the police, but they've got the upper hand because it's now converted to green, whereas here they didn't have the upper hand, but they've at least been moved out by the riot police who have come in with their water cannons. So you could assume that these are, these are heftier riot police. I should maybe call them riot police, because I don't want to make out that these places don't have police units, because they do. But in the face of the everyday police, they probably don't have limited powers against masses of protesters, and they would need these special units. I'm making all this as I go along, but that seems to make sense. I don't know how I'm going to ever get anyone on there, but there you go. So that's the government all moved up. Venezuelan government. We can should be able to get rid of him. Yep, with a 1, 7 to 1 with a 1. That was good. So we dispersed them. He's been done. So that's that. Okay. So it's the protesters now. They've taken this place. So let's see what else they can do. Yep, they can move quite quick. And I've taken that place. So I think we'll move him to there. Try again with this attack. And exchange. Look at that. They had the upper hand, but they failed miserably. Okay, so that was a DR. So we've moved the police out of there, but none of them have any movement. But we have the movement to get back into here. We're still busily burning cars in Barquisimeto. I think we're probably okay there, but we could possibly try go into there. No, an exchange. And that's that. I think we've got some new police units there. And some new police units there. Or oh look, they appeared there. we managed to take them out. Look at that, it's almost like a nice straight line down there. We managed to take them out. Well, if you remember, we attacked Cabimas, and the unit was retreated to there, but in the interim reinforcements arrived, which was fortunate for the government. So now the question is, oh, look at that, they've entrenched. Well, that's fine for them to entrench. The police don't entrench. I think we're going to have to sort of reinforce here, but we can possibly attack out. So this should be, like 4 to 1. Yep, and a DE. So that's what they need. They need a few lucky rolls, and then all of a sudden the situation changes. It's a lot less stressful over there now, because there's not this huge, large stack. So that's sort of working slightly. DR, so they've managed to again push the protesters out of Barinas, and this time we can move in. Very possible that we could have quite a successful attack against this stack. Yep, for DE. So all of a sudden the police are sort of beginning to... Okay, so I suppose we could try and get rid of them. DR. And oh, instead of attacking, I'm going to go in and take back El Tigre. We've taken that, so I'll move some units from there, although that leaves Caracus a little lower. We've got problems there. I think we're going to hold. Well, I don't think we have enough police now to attack that. It's going to be a 1-to-1, possibly a 1-to-2, which we could sort of fail at. So let's just move on. Protesters. Now they've completely lost all ground around Caracus. Did these just appear or what? Let's take out San Fernando. We've got some protesters down here, look. Got protesters up there. That's interesting because there's no one, we don't have anyone to get across that. I need to put a causeway of all things. I wonder if there is a road over there. Well, let's see what we can do here. Okay, there's been some pretty heavy exchanges around here. I mean, they were on Depression 4 and they're on Depression 3. It's been, you know, that's at least 4 goes at it. I just want to reiterate, when the National Guard comes on, these protesters won't stand a chance. It might seem as though they're doing well, but really, let's see what we can do with these. Oops. Should I go for San Cristobal on my own or try to reinforce this place? Well, I don't have any more movement, but let's see what we can do with these protesters here. An exchange. And these protesters have dug in, so they're all occupied, they're all busy doing those sorts of things. And the protesters can magically go across the ocean, right? Well, it looks as though we might be able to start protesting in Puerto La Cruz. With a bit of luck. Well, that's not what we call luck in the book of the book of definitions. That is the opposite of luck. We have hefty depressions. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so the police are not doing too badly. I mean, they've definitely got all this stuff up here. They've still got to actually secure Maracay again. They've also got to secure El Tigre. I wonder if that unit has appeared in El Tigre. Oh no, there's protesters in El Tigre now. Look at that. Protesters in El Tigre. They're joint. So the police have sort of got to do something about that. So they're going to move out here and attack with their water cannons and their rubber bullets and DE. So they've managed to get rid of that little unit, although there's still a lot of disorder in there, and they won't be able to recover that this turn. They're going to try and hold fast there. These police units are still trying to, they've restored order there. Oh no, they're in the process of restoring order. It still hasn't been done, so they need to still sit there. I think we're going to move these over here. We've got a big problem here, but this is a nice sort of stack of police units which we could afford possibly to start moving elsewhere, but we just don't know where these protesters are going to appear from. So I'm tempted to sort of move these ones up here to start taking this place back, whatever it's called. Temblador. Okay, so it's now the protesters' turn, so they've started to take back these other places. They've now completed restoring civil order in Barinas. Although Barquisimeto is going to be a tough one. So what we really need to do is somehow sort out all these protesters, and it could be worthwhile. Oops. Whose turn is it? It's the protesters' turn. Okay, so do they want to go for another round? They're pretty weak now. I think what we might do is leave them there for a bit to recover. Although I was thinking, well, protesters aren't really that organised. They'll probably just keep protesting until they die. I mean, he's only at half strength. His good pression's 5. Got some fresh protesters here, so that might help. DR. Okay, well that helped. I'm going to leave them to recover, so that's that. More police units appearing now, I believe. Okay. I've got protesters over here, which I didn't notice before. So let's see whether we can actually disperse those. When they're on their own, they're a little easier to get a DE result against there. That's good. We don't want them sort of ganging up, and we might be able to get some effect against these units. DE, look at that. That's what the police units need. It's more, all of a sudden it's all clear. So they can start maybe to focus on taking this stack out. And he's only at half strength. I think he needs to recover. We've got so many units in Caracus now, I think we can afford to move out. I mean, if we get trouble, we can always go back to Caracus. It's such a big number that it's going to take a long time for any number of protesters to take it out. And there's another DE. I'm feeling quite sure of all of this now, so let's just see what these can do against this unit. DE. So police are doing quite well really across the board. Although I will say that in the interim I did actually, I just think we need to make this feel right. We just need to keep on adding more and more protesters to get that level of complexity up. But there are enough police units to really sort of deal with all of this, because the protesters are quite weak, which is as it not so much as it should be, but as it is probably more realistic. So over here, I'm going to leave that for a bit. Okay, that's that. I could maybe move those in last turn. Okay, so we've now actually taken a city. We have actually done that. Barquisimeto. We've taken it. Which is interesting. Because now we get to move into this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exchange. Yeah. Okay. He's going to sit there and try and take that place out. These people are going to move into here and attack. So it's Port La Cruz, is it? A DR leaves Puerto La Cruz open, although we don't have any movement to get in there. Okay. Oh, look at that. We get another bunch of protesters, look. A bunch there and a bunch there. This is interesting. So, the Venezuelan government were doing quite well, but now they've got a stack here to contend with, so I think we're going to have to at least attack them, and I get the feeling we'll probably do quite well. And this large stack will be swiftly swept back. DE, look at that. There 1 minute, gone the next. I might adjust the strength of the protesters just to make it a little more gamey. 0.15 to 0.2 perhaps. 0.25 maybe. We'll see. Okay. So, the problem with the government unions is they can't sort of draw up a front line because they don't know where the new protesters are going to come from. And although I don't know where they come from either. So, what else is there to do? We've got a place there. I think we need to sort of reinforce this place. We can definitely take out these units now, but we need to defend Valencia City at least from these, and maybe attack. See what happens. An exchange. That's not too bad. They're holding out there. It's definitely a big stack. Nothing's actually happened in San Cristobal yet. Okay, so that's that. The protesters. Well, I think we're going to go for San Cristobal. Yep. Oh, an exchange. So whether we can get rid of this police unit here. An exchange. Okay. I think the last attack here. An exchange. So I'm going to leave it at that because there's only a few seconds left, but that's a 30-minute video. I think it gives you an idea of the sort of complexity of what's going on. I mean, it's not an exact simulation, but the protester is easy to get rid of, but there's lots of them. I'll speak later. Bye.